Good morning, everyone. I'm Curt Goering, Executive Director of CVT. Thank you, Islam. CVT's reputation for excellence in Jordan is due in no small part to your leadership, your courage, your determination. And I think all of us this morning got a little glimpse of that. Shukran jazilan. Thank you, Mayor Fry, for all the work that you have done, as you described, with respect to new Americans, refugees, and asylum seekers in this city of Minneapolis, especially in this political environment. It's needed now more than ever before, and we thank you. And thank you, all of you, for being here this morning for our 9th annual Restoring Hope Breakfast. I'm so glad you're with us today. It's been a challenging year for so many of us, and especially for our clients. Yesterday, I woke up to the news that our government was transporting thousands of migrant children, unaccompanied minors, from their shelters in the middle of the night to a new tent detention center in the Texas desert. How many of you heard that story? Many of you. The same report said that for some of those, they will struggle for the rest of their lives with the trauma incurred during the journey. A few days ago, the story was the lowest number of refugees admitted to the United States since the resettlement program began, at a time when the number of refugees globally has never been higher. The day before that, it was that millions of dollars were being redirected from FEMA to build detention facilities, more permanent detention facilities for asylum seekers and migrant children, from FEMA, of all places. Every day, we wake up to a seemingly endless barrage of disturbing news, crises, and further difficulties our clients must endure. It seems every day we hear about new policies of cruelty, policies of discrimination, policies that undermine fundamental human rights. CVT is fighting back with all that we can. For one, for the first time in the organization's history, CVT opposed presidential nominations because of involvement in the CIA torture program. Stephen Bradbury, who provided legal cover for the use of torture, and Gina Haspel, who was confirmed as CIA director despite her direct involvement in the torture program's grisly daily activities, and then who destroyed the evidence. CVT also fought back against the Muslim ban when the Supreme Court turned a blind eye to the religious discrimination that so obviously motivated the president's actions. Clients at CVT's projects in the Middle East and Africa were affected. Some were not allowed to resettle. Many lost hope that they could ever be reunited with loved ones in this country. And our clients here in the U.S. are also deeply affected, especially by the unbearable waiting period, up to 5 years, for asylum cases to be heard and resolved. They wait for reunification with family, for the chance to restart academic and career goals, for the chance to rebuild their lives. As one client said, life just feels even more uncertain during these times. It makes it so hard for me to have hope for the future when I don't have any confidence that the government of the United States cares about me or my family. And CVT fought back against the disgraceful separations at the border. We've all seen some of the children who were wrenched from their parents and detained for months on end. We heard the haunting recordings of anguish and despair as they cried for their parents. We heard about their parents deported. But what we didn't see was what drove them to walk for months in the hope that they'd find protection. What we didn't see was the fear that they felt, the fear of abuse, the fear of torture, the fear for their very lives. At CVT, we know only too well the horrors that asylum seekers are fleeing, and we know the excruciating pain and the long-lasting psychological and even physical effects of family separation. As if fleeing persecution is a crime, as if seeking political asylum is illegal. This kind of cruelty and discrimination has become commonplace, even the norm. And these are not Democratic or Republican issues. These are issues of fundamental human rights and basic human decency. We are tired, and yes, even angry, as we listen to the constant barrage of terrible stories. So how do we cope? How do you cope? We've all had to try to find a way. Some tune out for a while, some let go, and yes, some of us may even turn to Alexa. Hey, Alexa, turn on some good news. Well, I don't have Alexa, but sometimes I turn to music. And the other day, I turned to John Lennon's Imagine. And it took me back to a time post 9/11 when I was working at Amnesty International. And Yoko Ono, John Lennon's wife and fellow musician, gave the rights to re-record that song as part of her effort to emphasize human rights and peace in the post 9/11 environment. Imagine all the people living for today. What a poignant message. Its message of unity and hope. Its call to action. The song became the unofficial anthem of the international human rights movement. And its message is today as relevant as it was 40 years ago. In fact, it has perhaps never been more relevant than today, than these times, these chaotic times that we're living in. Imagine all the people living life in peace. And so this morning, I invite you to imagine dreams of a peaceful world, a world where there is no war or suffering, to imagine a world without torture, a world where human rights for all are respected, a world celebrating unity and our common humanity, even as we celebrate our differences. We must continue to be unwavering in devotion to our principles and the mission of this organization to heal the wounds of torture on individuals, their families, and communities, and to end torture worldwide. And that is why this year our work is more important than ever. We must persevere. We must step up and provide moral leadership together. And we've proven we can do it. Last year, we restored the hope of nearly 22,000 survivors and family members at our programs in the US, in Africa, and the Middle East. Our policy advocacy generated federal funding for our work, touching the lives of 200,000 survivors and family members all around the globe. No other organization in the world has this reach and impact on the lives of individual torture survivors and other groups, gross human rights violations. But this year, we need to do even more. And with your help, we will. A few days ago, our board approved our budget for FY 2019. And it's larger than ever because CVT must grow to meet the growing global crisis. But it's not extravagant, and it's not enough. We try hard to be good stewards of the always too scarce resources. We try to do more than is reasonable with what we have, and staff remind me of this all the time. But try we must, and we can't do it without you. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, Lennon wrote, but he's not the only one. We here today, all of us here today are dreamers. We dream that every human being will be treated with dignity. We dream of an end to torture and the violence of war. We dream that every human being will be treated with equality and respect. At the end of our time together this morning, you'll be asked to consider a contribution. This morning, we hope to raise $500,000. So now, as you hear the unforgettable journeys of survivors, I ask you to please consider the ways in which your gift, multiplied by that of others at your table and around this room, will heal the wounds of people who suffered in similar but unimaginable ways. These are the people you will help through your generous support. There's a very real and a direct connection between your decision to act and our ability to heal. All of us here today dream for a better world, but you this morning are doing more than dreaming about it. You have a chance to make dreams come true. I hope one day you'll join us. I hope today you'll join us by giving as generously as you can. Every dollar you give helps to make a dream come true. So let's do what we can today to create that day when the world will be as one and truly will live as one. Thank you very much.